We're going to be doing a chain and sprocket replacement on this 2008 YZF R6. What you're going to need is you're going to need your rear sprocket. If you're changing your sprockets, I definitely need it. Your front sprocket might not be needed, but it's always good to replace them all at the same time. Of course, you're going to need your chain. I'm going to use one of these because I believe it's riveted on, and if it is, then I'm definitely going to need a chain breaker. You're going to need a 32 style or 32 mil socket for taking off the wheel nut. You're going to need a 17 mil. I don't know if this is actually right or not, but you're going to need it to take off these. You will also need a size 4 Allen wrench to take off the plastics, and I believe you also need a size 5 for these. So, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Oh yeah, you also need a stand. That's kind of important. You need to lift up the rear tire somehow. Maybe not a stand, but you're gonna have to lift up the rear tire so you can take it out. Now that we have it lifted, we can start tearing apart that plastic to get it off. And I believe, yeah, you can undo the bolt while it's up. You don't need it to be on the ground. So that is step 1. Now to find the master link, if there is one. You're looking for a clip on one of the chain links. I believe this one is actually riveted. So I'll be able to show you my, well, here's a big case of you need to replace your chain, because that is not right. That should not come out like that. So I am not seeing a master link anywhere. So I will have to split the chain. What you're gonna wanna do is you wanna find the proper size for the actual pin. Next up, you take your tool, move you out a bit. You take your tool, loosen this out, remove this because this is for riveting. You're gonna insert this into this pocket right here. Unlike that. You're gonna have to move it way out. Alright, so now that it's in there, you're gonna open it up until you have enough to get around the chain. Move you over here. Now once it's on the pin, tighten it up slowly so it doesn't move off. Next up, get something the size of this, which just happens to be a 17 as well. So when you're doing an R6 and you get one of these, I got it from Royal Distributing in Ontario. Well, I guess the 17 works for the wheel nuts, or the sprocket nuts, and the tool. So what you're gonna need is to grab your ratchet, throw the 17 on, and you just start tightening away. Just keep tightening it, hear that pop. Just keep going, it'll eventually break. You should be able to do this by hand, and then you can remove the chain link. Now you're going to want to catch this side if you want to save your plastics, but as you already know, I have new ones coming in. And like that, your chain is separated. This is what it removes. Now for removing the chain, you just pull, 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 pull. And there you go. Step will be removing these bolts. There's one here. You might be able to just stretch it out enough that you'll be able to work around this, because you just need to take that bolt, that one off, and you will also need to take the shifter off. So I'm sorry about not mentioning the wrench that you're gonna need, but you will be needing a wrench to take that off, and I believe that is a 10 or a 12 mil. What you're gonna need to do is just keep twisting and twisting this away until it finally gets removed. You can do it by hand. I do believe with this style you do have to take it out all the way. Yeah. So now this can slip off like so, and you can take it, bring it around like so. Now it's out of the way. So that's good. Make sure you put the bolt back in there if you have a tendency to lose them, so you don't lose them. Now you can start working on taking these out. These look like they have Loctite on them, so I will be putting blue Loctite back onto them when I put them back in. For removing this cover, you just have to remove all those screws, and then it should just pop off. It is a plastic cover, and it'll be dirty when you take it off. So not a bad idea to clean it now, but now we have access to the important front sprocket. So I am kind of concerned with it doesn't look like it has a, oh yeah, it does. Alright, so I'm just gonna have to pin those back out right here if it'll focus. No, it won't. So I will have to remove that. I'll have to pry it out, and then you can loosen the bolt, and then it'll come off. This is an OEM style, as you can tell with the rubber. So this is an original. Interesting. Alright, with the 30 mil socket, I am so sorry I forgot that. I needed my Tims, but you know, I just can't get that because I don't have a way of getting to Tims right now. So with a 30 mil, slap that on there. I just slapped it into first gear, so it's very hard for it to turn over and twist. That's all I did. It's not turning the motor over because this motor has a lot of compression. This is very important. Remember, there's a washer, then your sprocket. It'll just come off. It's angry about not having Tims either. So now there's nothing on the back side. So this is good to go, ready to be replaced. There is a collar on the back, but that stays. So now, just make sure it's the same amount of teeth. There's the aftermarket, here's the OEM. There's a rubber piece here to reduce vibrations and sound, but it's a little worn out, so might as well replace it with this. Alright, now you grab your sprocket. I'll move this for you. Oh no, it just made things worse. Pick you up. Just put it over, match the splines. Give it a little bit of wiggle, and there you go, it's on. Now you remember to put that washer back on, and I might put a little bit of Loctite onto the nut since it looks like there was a bit of red Loctite on there. You don't need much of it at all. So now I'm gonna crank it down. Now it's punched in, ready to get the chain on, except we have to take this out. Shouldn't be too difficult. Yeah, that was pretty easy. So I might want to put some more grease on there after I'm done, but I just pull this all the way out. And that's pretty much it. Now we take out the rear wheel. Trying not to let that fall, and alright, for this we're gonna need the 17 mil. Fits nicely. Slap this onto this. And yeah. We're gonna try twisting. Alright, now that they're all off, it should just lift up. Don't forget the washers. Grab all the 6 washers. 3, 4, 5. I'm going underneath here. 6 and 7. I don't believe they have a purpose side to go whatever way. Now we're going to do the same direction. Do not put it like this, put it like this, otherwise it will not line up. You want the dished out part facing you. Now we can slap these on. Boom. And we can start putting this back on. Doesn't look like these had any Loctite on them. They were just very tight. So I'm not gonna put any Loctite on them just because they didn't have them already. Alright, now for putting the rim back on, I'm gonna be washing this later when everything else comes, just because I want to get this video done and it put away so nothing gets rained on. It's about to rain. So now we line everything up, and on this side we have our brake caliper with the axle mount. So the axle goes through here, so when you adjust the back here, it'll be the proper size. You don't have to worry about anything like it being too far back from the rotor and messing up your braking. You had two hands to help you when doing the axle. That could help out a lot, but in this case, I'm just gonna get it started. Alright, so once you get the brake rotor into the brake pads, then you can push the actual axle all the way through, and then that's when you can get your torque wrench or torque it fairly heavily down. Once you get this all through, might be a little bit tasking and daunting, but it looks to be working. So now I'm going to just slide that washer on and tighten this back down. Alright, so I moved it all the way in just because I'm not exactly sure how far I'm gonna have to move it back out. So I matched the other side to the last line flush with the end. Same on the other side. If it's not right, you're gonna have a crooked wheel and it's not gonna be fun. Now for installing the chain. This is gonna be a little bit of a task. It's not gonna be hard, it's just gonna be tedious. So what you wanna do is you wanna feed it onto here, roll it, keep feeding it. You do not want it to go down, so you wanna pull it, which is a little bit difficult. Sorry about the paper. It's a little bit difficult just because of how slippery it is. And I'm sorry about the paper again. Fuck off. Train all the way through. I have the open part right there. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to prep our master link. It's not gonna be too difficult. So what I got is an X-ring chain. So what you want to do is you want to open the grease packet. Make sure the grease isn't all going to spill out. It's open. You just want to put a little tiny bit on here, around where that X-ring is gonna go. A little bit on this side too. Wrap it around. Make it all nice and neat, sort of. Then you're gonna put one, and then you're gonna put the two. Next step is to actually be putting it onto the chain itself. So bringing it from the back here, tightening that up. There you go. Now this is when you add a little tiny bit more grease. Onto this, all the way around. Just like that. Now you grab your other two X-rings, roll them around in a bit, make sure they're all around it, work it in. Then you have your this piece, and this is a riveted one. This is not a clip one. So I will have to be riveting it onto it. So that's as far as I'm gonna be able to get it on by hand. And next up, I'll show you how to rivet. Back with the splitter slash riveter. So what this has is a point that will fit into that little tiny hole that they have provided us. So we will be putting that in there, and we'll be pushing it against the back portion here. This is a lot stronger than a master link with a clip. Push it again in the middle just to get it seated down a tad bit more. You know, and this is roughly how loose it should be for an R6. It's a fairly loose chain, surprisingly, but it's not too loose like this one was. So yeah, so this is how to change a chain and sprockets on a 2008 Yamaha YZF-RC.